You ever have that feeling where you're just stuck? You're working your tail off, but you're not actually getting anywhere? It's like you're just running in place. Yeah, that was me. I dropped out of school at 16 to make wooden trash cans for $2 an hour. My life felt like it was already written. But I knew, deep down, I wanted more. So now I'm going to share the exact roadmap that got me from there to here, to financial freedom.
This just hits the nail on the head. I was on that hamster wheel, man. I'd look at my coworkers, and it was like the life had been drained out of them. And I just thought, no way, that is not going to be my future. I wanted the freedom to actually live, on my own terms, not as a slave to some boss or a paycheck. That feeling, that need to break free, that was the spark that lit the whole fire.
Look, this transformation didn't happen overnight. It wasn't some kind of magic trick. It was a plan, a strategy. And it took me from barely scraping by to a level of financial freedom I honestly thought was impossible. And I did it all before I was even 30.
So that really brings us to the most important question of all, doesn't it? Is this just some random lucky story, or is this something that you, right now, can actually do?
And the answer is 100% yes. If you have the right plan, it is absolutely possible. So think of this explainer as your personal roadmap. My only goal here is for you to walk away with the exact steps you need to get financially free and to do it as fast as humanly possible.
All right, first things first. We have to find what I call your freedom figure. Sounds cool, right? It's simply the exact amount of money you need to have invested to live your life forever without ever having to worry about money again. It's the number that unlocks the door.
So to find that number, you've got to define what your ideal life looks like. What does freedom mean to you? This example here is kind of based on what a lot of people in their 20s want, right? Living in a cool city, nice car, a few vacations a year, all the good stuff. But here's the most important part. You need to change these numbers to fit your goals. Get brutally honest with yourself. What do you really want?
So, for this particular dream lifestyle, we've landed on an annual cost of just over 75 grand. This number is our baseline. It's the amount of cash our investments need to spit out for us year after year after year.
Okay, so how do we get from that yearly cost to our final target? We use this beautifully simple little formula called the Rule of 25. You just take your yearly cost and you multiply it by 25. That's it. This tells you exactly how much you need invested so you can pull out about 4% each year and, based on how the market's performed historically, never ever run out of money.
And boom, there it is. For our example, the freedom figure is about $1.88 million. Now hold on. Don't let that number freak you out. Seriously, think of it like a golden goose. Once you have the goose, you can live off the golden eggs it lays every year without ever having to touch the goose itself. That, my friends, is the magic of passive income.
All right, you have your target number. Now, the big question is, how in the world do you actually get there? Well, this section is all about getting there way faster by hacking your spending. And these are clever ways to slash your costs without feeling like you're giving up anything you love.
Let's start with car hacking, because this is a massive financial trap for so many people. The average new car payment is over $700 a month. That is almost $9,000 a year that just vanishes into thin air. The hack? It's so simple. Buy a quality used car that's already taken that huge initial hit in value. You can drive it for a few years and then sell it for pretty close to what you paid. No debt, no insane monthly payment.
Next up, brand hacking. Just look at this classic example, the fancy brand name cereal versus the store brand. You save over $2.50 and you get almost twice as much cereal. Now you're probably thinking, $2.56 isn't going to make me rich, but think about it. If you make just one smart swap like this every single day, that adds up to over $900 a year. It's these small, consistent wins that build unstoppable momentum.
And you can apply this hacking mindset to pretty much everything. Think about house hacking. You rent out a spare room, or maybe one unit of a duplex, and have your tenant pay your entire mortgage. You're literally living for free. Then there's tax hacking, which is just about legally using all the deductions and tax-free accounts you can to keep more of your hard-earned money. And finally, deal hacking.
Which all comes down to this simple idea. The price you see is almost never the real price. Doesn't matter if it's a car, your cable bill, or a couch. There is almost always wiggle room. So you have to ask. I mean, what's the worst they can say? No?
Okay, so hacking your spending is like playing great defense. But to win the game, you gotta build a powerful offense. And that means forging the two most important tools in your financial arsenal: your credit, and your income. These are the real engines of wealth.
First, let's just bust a huge myth right now. How many of you have been told that credit cards are evil, that they're just a one-way ticket to a mountain of debt? Is that actually true, or is that idea secretly holding you back?
The truth is, it's the complete opposite. When you use them responsibly, and listen, this is the key part, it means paying off the entire balance every single month. A credit card is the single best tool for building an amazing credit score. And a great score will save you tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars on future loans for things you actually want, like a house or a business. So don't fear them, master them.
All right, so once your finances are buttoned up, the next big lever to pull is making more money. See, relying on just one job is like sitting on a one-legged stool. It's super unstable. You need to add more legs to that stool. But the second you mention getting a side hustle, what's the #1 excuse you always hear? I'm just too busy. I don't have the time.
Okay, let's just look at the actual math. There are 168 hours in a week. Let's say you have a full-time job, you get a solid 8 hours of sleep a night, and you account for your commute and meals. You are still left with over 50 hours of free time. That's more than a whole other full-time job's worth of time every single week. So the time is there. The real question is, what are you going to do with it?
And that brings us to our final and honestly our most critical section. You can save money, you can make more money, but if you don't get this next part right, you will never, ever be truly free. It all comes down to a huge shift in how you think about money itself.
Just look at the difference between these mindsets. The poor mindset sees money as something to just survive, right? It's for paying bills. The middle-class mindset sees money as a way to get bigger loans for a nicer car, a bigger house, basically more debt. But the rich mindset, that's a total game changer. For them, money has one primary function: expansion.
So what do I mean by expansion? It's the art of making your money work for you, instead of you always working for it. It's about putting your money into assets that generate more money, creating these little streams of passive income that grow while you're sleeping, while you're on vacation, while you're doing anything you love. This is how real wealth is built.
So where can you actually start putting your money to work? Well, for most people, an S&P 500 index fund is an amazing place to start. It's a super simple way to own a tiny piece of the 500 biggest companies in the US, and it's historically been a very solid long-term bet. If you have a higher risk tolerance, maybe a small slice of your portfolio in crypto makes sense, but you have to know it's going to be a wild ride. And of course, real estate, especially using strategies like house hacking, is still one of the most powerful wealth-building machines on the planet.
So there you have it. The roadmap is laid out right in front of you. You know how to find your number, you know how to save more, how to earn more, and how to put your money to work. The path is crystal clear. The only question left is, when are you going to take that first step?